What's up everybody, Superdrux fan here for another car review. This is of course the 2016 Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport 4x4. Huge thanks to Toyota for providing me with this very nice press car to review for you guys today. So about the new Tacoma, well of course it's completely brand new for 2016 here, totally restyled, and I think it looks great. I absolutely love the styling. It looks pretty big too for a mid-sized truck. It's just got a very beefy look to it. You got that very muscular and aggressive front end there. You got that hood scoop, and of course this being the TRD Sport version is lifted up a little bit higher than the more base editions of the Tacoma. And overall, I think it looks great, especially in this blue color. And even in the back, it's just as bold. You have Tacoma embossed into the tailgate there. And overall, I think it's just a really great looking truck. Right, so for the interior of the 2016 Tacoma here, it's actually really nice. They did a really good job upgrading it here for this whole new body style. So anyway, first things first, sitting down in these seats, they're very nice and soft, comfortable cloth seats, and they're actually really supportive. I mean, obviously you have some wider torso support here, but that's okay. Obviously it's a truck, but you have really nice thigh support here, and they're just nice and soft. The Chevy Colorado, which I think is this truck's main competition, I reviewed one of those last year, and those seats were pretty firm and somewhat uncomfortable. These are much more comfortable, and I gotta say that compared to the Colorado, there's a lot more soft touch materials I think in here, and it just feels a little bit more plush than the Colorado did. Anyway, after the seats here, the next thing is this great steering wheel, which is nicely wrapped in perforated leather here. It has a really good 9-3 grip, nice little thumb cutouts here, some nice healthy 10-2 notches as well, and it's just it's a thick beefy wheel, and it just feels really great in your hands. You have a little assortment of buttons here that are pretty straightforward and easy to use, and overall just a really ideal wheel. Next is the gauges in the Tacoma here, which are pretty nice. You have some sporty fonts there on the gauge graphics. You have your tachometer, speedometer, and then you have your two little auxiliary gauges beneath those, and then you have a nice full color display right in the middle there, and give you a digital speedometer and your fuel economy. Nothing too elaborate, but it's just nice. You can actually still also display your song information and things like that. And it's just, I love the way it looks. It's very sophisticated looking, looks very similar to the stuff you get in the Lexus center stack screen there, and just a really nice little setup there. Come along to the center of the dashboard here. You have in this Sport model this really nice widescreen, very responsive touchscreen head unit here that's really a joy to use, honestly. It's probably the most responsive touchscreen in a car I've ever used, honestly. Like, you barely have to touch it, and it instantly will just do whatever you're touching. So it's really great. Very high resolution graphics, I gotta say. I like that these buttons here on the side are just illuminated, and whenever you turn the car off, those don't appear there, and it's just very slick looking. And you have the apps, so you can connect it to your phone and use apps off your phone and things like that. Overall, just a really nice and easy to use head unit. Coming down to the rest of the controls here, you have your engine start stop button right next to your four-wheel drive control. You can manually switch it into four-wheel drive low or high, and also of course two-wheel drive. You have your climate controls here, which is manual. In the limited version it is auto climate control, but you still have manual here in the Sport, and I think they work just fine. I mean, they're plasticky in their feel, but they feel nice still nonetheless, and nicely finished off there. You have this wireless charging button, which I'll explain more in a minute, and then you also have a USB and auxiliary jack and a power outlet. Being a truck, you're going to have a lot of storage space, but I really like the way they laid everything out in here. So anyway, first thing, in the doors here, you have two bottle holders and an additional little pocket here, and then coming along to the center here, you have this wireless charging pad, which if you have this type of wireless charging, then you can put your phone on there without plugging it in, and it'll automatically charge, which is very cool. Otherwise though, it's a nice cubby if you just want to leave things on there. That's fine too. And then you have two cup holders right here, which are a nice size and are nicely out of the way. And then you also have a third cup holder back here, which is totally unnecessary but very nice and appreciated nonetheless, and another little cubby here as well. And then you have this center armrest, which it looks like it's just hard plastic, but it's actually soft rubberized plastic here. And you can see it's kind of squishy even, and so it's really nice to rest your elbow on. And that's a spot where I think the Chevy just had hard plastic, so having something nice and soft here is really appreciated. Anyway, you open that up and you have a nice and large center console here, which also has another power outlet as well, and it's a really good size. You can fit lots of stuff in there, and it even has a pen holder. Backseat space in the Tacoma is actually pretty good too. Now this is the double cab, so the full-on four-door version. And so anyway, I'm 5'9", again, me sitting behind myself, I still have a couple inches of legroom there, plenty of headroom, and should be plenty to, you know, haul around just about everybody. Unless you're a really tall driver, then you might have some cramped seating there. But of course, the only way you're going to fix that is with a full-size truck. And Toyota didn't forget about comfort for the rear seat occupants either. They also have dual bottle holders as well as 2 cup holders up here, and they're also just as comfortable as the seats up front here. Truck bed space in the Tacoma here is really great, actually. So this is the short bed version. There is a long bed option you can get as well. But I think the short bed's, you know, obviously plenty of space for most people. And I also like, you know, the tailgate has the soft release, so it doesn't fall right down very abruptly. It's nice and slow. They have different little cubbies on both sides. It also has a power outlet built in right there. And, you know, you have all kinds of clever little tie downs and adjustable things so that you can, you know, secure things pretty well. And so obviously there's lots of accessories you can get to further customize that and have it suit your lifestyle the best way possible. But overall, just a very usable bed and good space. All right, so start up and go for a drive. You know, since this one is the Sport, it has the push button stop start. So you just have the keyless little fob here that you leave in your pocket. You put your foot on the brake, hit the end of start button. It starts right up. All right, so setting off from the 2016 Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport 4x4. Well, first thing that you notice, you are sitting up high in this truck. You definitely feel like you're in a big truck, and that's what a lot of truck buyers want, I think. And so as far as, you know, visibility and things like that go, you do have this large hood that you're looking out over, and you have a hood scoop, which adds even a little more height there. But it definitely gives you a very commanding sense when you're going down the road. It feels very large and in charge, I guess. And so, I mean, but it does feel a little bit big. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, you know, trying to feel like you're fitting into your lane and things like that. But after a while, it's no big deal at all. Other things you notice is it has a truck-like ride. Now, it's soft and smooth, but you definitely feel every single bump, and it's you know, not super refined in the way that it soaks up those bumps. But that's typical of any truck that's you know, a true truck layout like this one is. And so, you know, I think that's what truck buyers expect, and I don't think that any of them are going to object to the ride. Other things to notice as far as visibility elsewhere goes, you have, you know, large side windows here. You have a B-pillar there, but you know, it's actually pretty thin, so you don't have to worry about that too much. And you know, you have a good view out of the back there with that little rear window. Other things to note here at low speeds, it's pretty quiet at low speeds. At some higher speeds, it does seem to have a decent amount of wind noise, but we'll discuss that a little bit more as we get up and driving. Other things though, the brake pedal and the throttle response are both very good, very quick, immediate, and sharp, and they feel really nice. Another thing that feels really nice is the steering, which actually has a good amount of weight to it, but it's, you know, not super heavy, not too light, just about right. Has really great feel too as well, and like I mentioned earlier, with the steering wheel being so nice in your hands already anyway, overall it's a very nice thing to drive down the road. Another cool thing I want to mention very briefly is this truck is the first truck, or the first vehicle period, that I've ever seen that has a GoPro mount as standard. So it's right up there mounted permanently to the windshield, and so you just slip in your clip for your GoPro there, and you can film things with ease. And so I'm using that to give you the view forward here, and works pretty well, so that's very cool. Alrighty, so we're going to put the transmission into sport mode, and I know it's a truck, but let's turn down on this back road here and see how it does. Here we go. Okay. Pretty good. So this truck is obviously a truck, and but it does have a brand new direct injected V6 engine, 3.5 liter, that does 278 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque, which is a pretty good amount. Very competitive with all the other stuff in its class. But you know, it's underwhelming performance-wise for anyone that's driven a performance vehicle. But as far as trucks go, it's pretty good. One thing I will comment though is even in this sport mode, it was very slow to downshift and give me the gears I wanted whenever I was trying to stomp on it, which is a little annoying. You do have the slapstick here, so you can manually downshift yourself, but this transmission is just a little lazy, I think, anyway. So you know, I think it's just best to leave it in drive and let it do its thing and just wait for it to kick down for you. But I wish that it was a little bit more sporty with the way the transmission tuning was here in sport mode. Other things though, just cruising down the road here now, and it actually feels pretty good going down the road, pretty smooth. And I gotta say that I'm going around corners here, and I'm not completely completely terrified. It actually has really good road manners for a truck. It's, you know, handling everything pretty well here. And yeah, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with how nice it goes around corners, because normally that's a sore spot for trucks. But this one, it's actually not too bad. Coming up to this tight corner I always take, and we'll see just how bad the body roll is. And it's there, but it's not super bad, honestly. I said this is probably the best handling normal pickup truck that I've driven, I think, honestly. Very good handling, and so I really like that. It also feels pretty light on its feet. This one in this configuration is about 4,200 pounds or a little under that, but it doesn't feel really that heavy. Do another acceleration here. That time it kicked down a little quicker. Has a good little sound to it too, a little growl, you know, that it has there for this V6. And so it's a pretty good motor. Now, I think the EPA estimate is like 23 on the highway, I think 19 or so in the city. And I think, you know, we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to have this vehicle for an entire week thanks to Toyota. So I'll be able to come back and give you guys my full week's driving, you know, miles per gallon average. But yeah, it's so far my first impressions, I'm really impressed with it. I actually really like it. I wish the transmission was a little more eager to downshift, and you know, it could obviously use more power, but then again, it's a truck. And you know, it does have pretty good payload and towing ratings. I think it can tow 6,800 pounds. I think the payload rating is around 1,440 or so. So you know, pretty respectable numbers, I think, here for a mid-sized truck, if that's what you plan to use this for. Although most people will probably just drive it around as a normal street car and hardly ever tow or load it up. But yeah, so that's it for all my first impressions here in it. But like I said, I'll come back at the end of the week here and give you guys all my updated impressions. Alright, so I've been driving the 2016 Tacoma for almost a week now, and I really like it. It's really nice. Now, obviously, trucks are not typically my thing, so being used to driving performance cars, it's obviously not as exciting to drive and not as capable, but that is, of course, because it is a truck that's meant to go off-road and haul things and be tough and rugged. So, you know, I think those that are looking for trucks, that are used to trucks, or just used to normal pedestrian vehicles in general, I think that, you know, they will find this to be totally fine, totally acceptable from a handling and performance standpoint and things like that. It's a very smooth riding truck for the most part. I like driving it better than the Colorado from last year. It felt a little more crude. This feels a little more polished, a little smoother. I like the interior better in here. I think there's more soft touch materials than in stuff like the Colorado and the other more outdated competitors to this vehicle here. And I think it's really nice overall. I mean, I love, you know, the head unit is very great, you know, with the touchscreen. As far as, you know, refinement and all that kind of stuff goes, it's actually really, really nice. And I think it's an enormous step up from the previous generation Tacoma for sure. There still are some, you know, sore spots here. For example, this door armrest here, if you rest your elbow on there for a while, it will get sore. Again, that's a nitpicky, you know, whiny thing to complain about, but, you know, it's not, you know, a Lexus in here, but it is a good amount better than the previous generation for sure. And the only other thing that I really noticed over the week of driving that I wish it had was that it has the keyless access for the driver's door. So it's very nice. You leave your key in your pocket, you just walk up and grab the handle and it unlocks itself. You touch the handle and it'll lock itself again, and that's really great. But, you know, for someone that maybe has kids, or if you're like me and just open the door for your wife when she gets in the vehicle, you don't have that same accessibility for the passenger vehicle doors. So you have to, you know, pull the key fob out if you're trying to access the passenger side, or if you're trying to, you know, load kids up in the back seat, you still got to pull the key out of your pocket and unlock it manually and then put it back into your pocket. Or you could go into the driver's door first and then hit the unlock button. But either way, it's a little inconvenient. Again, nitpicking again. But here, you know, in the year 2016, these are some of the luxuries that we're used to and expect out of cars. So it'd be nice to at least have it on the passenger door. If not, also on the back doors would be a nice feature. But otherwise, though, you know, I really like it. Now, another observation, I've been driving this truck for almost a week in some mix of city and highway driving, and my fuel economy average is 19.6, which I don't think is too bad for, you know, a truck that's of this size and and you know, the type of driving I've been doing here. You know, I posted on Instagram when I first got this car last week. A lot of people were asking for me to off-road it. Unfortunately, because of my schedule, I didn't have time to take it off-road. One other thing that I have discovered over this week that I've been driving it is, although it is a truck and it still is never going to handle like a performance car, there is this nice ECT power button that you can press, and it does make the throttle response a little more responsive. It seemed a little more eager to downshift as well, and just seemed a little more eager, I guess, than it normally would. And so for those that, you know, feel like the normal setup is a little too soft or a little too lazy, you put it into that mode, and I don't think you'll have as many complaints. I will say though, in my week of driving it, that I still haven't fully gotten used to the size. Even after a week of driving, it feels pretty big. You know, the older Tacomas were a little bit on the smaller side. This feels almost like a full-size truck to me. It's almost that big, not quite, but you know, placing it in your lane if you're on a little bit of a narrower road can still be a little bit tricky. So yeah, overall, pretty impressed with this truck. Honestly, you know, out of the few trucks that I've reviewed, I gotta say this is probably my favorite as far as driving dynamics go, and overall package. I think it's really well put together, really well done job by Toyota here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Tundra. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.